Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyida Alina Batul and I'm a foundation level student in Rahat School. So today I'm going to ask some doing my AI session and asking some questions from Maya on the topic of sky. So let's start.
So, wa alaikum assalam, Alina. I'm ready when you are. All
Okay.
set?
So Maya, my first question
Understood.
from you is what is the sky?
Basic, the sky is everything that's above us when you look up from Earth. It's not a solid thing, but actually a layer of gases, mostly nitrogen and oxygen, that make up our atmosphere. So it protects us from the harshness of space and gives us that beautiful blue color during the day. Does that make sense?
Okay, nice answer. So Maya, my next question from you is why does the sky appear blue during the day?
It all comes down to something called Rayleigh scattering. Sunlight is actually made of all the colors of the rainbow, but when it hits the gases in our atmosphere, the shorter blue waves get scattered in every direction. That's why when you look up, your eyes see blue coming from everywhere. It's a bit like how a prism works, just on a massive scale.
Okay, so
Ready for the
Maya,
next one?
my next question from you is why does the sky change colors at sunset?
When the sun starts to set, light has to travel through much more of the atmosphere to reach you. Because it's a longer path, the blue light gets scattered away completely, leaving only the longer wavelengths like oranges, reds, and pinks to make it to your eyes. It's like the atmosphere is filtering out the blue and leaving the warm colors behind.
Okay, so can you tell me what causes red or orange sunset?
It's actually the same process we just talked about, but with a twist. Since the sun is lower on the horizon, the sunlight passes through a lot more air and dust particles. This filters out those blue and violet colors almost entirely, leaving the reds and oranges to dominate the view. It's a bit like the light is taking a longer, more tiring journey, and only the strongest colors make it through.
Okay, so can you tell me why does the sky look darker at night?
That's a pretty straightforward one. At night, the part of Earth you're on is facing away from the sun, so there's no sunlight to scatter. Without that light hitting the atmosphere, the blue disappears, and we get a direct view into the deep, dark void of space.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the atmosphere made of?
Our atmosphere is mostly a mix of nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen makes up about 78%, and oxygen is around 21%. The rest is a tiny slice of other things like argon, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. It's basically a cocktail of gases that keeps us alive and breathing.
Okay, where does the sky end?
That's a tricky question because it doesn't just stop abruptly. It actually gets thinner and thinner the higher you go until there's just not enough gas to call it sky anymore. Most people point to the Kármán line, which is about 100 kilometers up, as the official
Okay,
boundary between
so
Earth's atmosphere
can you tell
and
me
listen.
is the sky the same everywhere on the earth?
For the most part, yes, the physics are the same, but it can definitely look different depending on where you are. Things like pollution, humidity, or even if you're near the ocean can change the shade of blue or how vibrant a sunset looks. Plus,
Okay.
if you're at the poles, you get things like the northern lights, which you don't see in the tropics. Does that spark any more questions?
Yes. Why do clouds
I'm all
form
ears.
in the sky?
Clouds form when water vapor in the air cools down and turns back into liquid water droplets or tiny ice crystals. These droplets cling to tiny particles in the air like dust or smoke, and when
Okay.
enough of them gather together, you see a cloud. It's
So
basically just a
Maya,
giant.
can you give
I'm
me a
here.
detail? Can you give me a detailed answer of the question? What are the different types of clouds?
There are a few main families of clouds. usually named by how high they are in the sky. First, you have the high level clouds like cirrus, which are those thin, wispy ones that look like locks of hair. Then there are mid level clouds like altocumulus, which often look like patches of small rounded masses. And finally, the low level clouds like stratus, which look like a flat gray blanket covering the sky, or cumulus, those big, fluffy white ones that look like cotton balls. If those cumulus clouds keep growing upward, they can turn into cumulonimbus, which are the towering storm clouds that bring thunder and rain.
Okay, can you tell me what are the different types of why do clouds sometimes look white and sometimes gray?
It's all about the thickness and the light. When your cloud is thin and fluffy, like sunlight passes through it easily and you see that bright white color. But when clouds get thick or heavy with water, they block more sunlight from reaching the bottom, so the cloud looks gray or even dark charcoal from below.
Okay, how does rain form in the sky?
It starts with water evaporating from oceans and lakes and rising into the air as vapor. Once that vapor cools and condenses into clouds, the water droplets start bumping into each other and merging. When they get too heavy for the air to hold them up, gravity takes over and they fall down as rain. It's basically nature's way of recycling water.
Okay, so can you tell me what causes thunderstorms?
Thunderstorms happen when warm, moist air rises quickly into the atmosphere. This creates those massive, towering cumulonimbus clouds we mentioned. Inside those clouds, ice crystals and water droplets collide, creating static electricity, which is what gives us lightning. Then the sound of that lightning heating the air rapidly is what we hear as thunder.
So can you tell me why does lightning happen in the sky?
It's all about the buildup of electrical charges. Inside those storm clouds, particles of ice and water are constantly crashing into each other, which creates static electricity, kind of like when you rub your feet on a carpet and then touch a doorknob. Eventually, the charge gets so strong that it jumps from the cloud to the ground, or to another cloud to balance itself out. And that massive spark is what we see as lightning.
Okay, what is thunder?
Thunder is basically the sound of lightning. When lightning strikes, it heats the air around it to a staggering temperature almost instantly. That heat makes the air expand so fast that it creates a shock wave, which is what we hear as that loud boom. Since light travels much faster than sound, you always see the flash before you hear the rumble.
Yes, so can you tell me how do rainbows form in the sky?
Rainbows are basically a mix of sunlight and rain. When sunlight hits a raindrop, it bends as it enters, reflects off the back of the drop, and bends again as it leaves. This splits the sunlight into its different colors, and when millions of drops do this at once, you get that beautiful arc in the sky. You have to be standing with the sun behind you for it to happen.
So can you tell me why do we sometimes see double rainbows?
Double rainbows happen when the sunlight reflects twice inside the water droplets instead of just once. The second arc is
Okay,
actually a reflection of the first, which is why the colors are flipped. Red is on the inside and violet is on the outside. It's a bit like looking into a mirror inside a mirror.
okay, so can you tell me how does pollution affect the sky?
Pollution acts like a dirty filter for the sky. It can create smog, which is that thick, hazy layer of pollutants that makes the sky look gray or brown instead of blue. Beyond just the look, these particles can scatter light differently, making sunsets look unnaturally vivid or just muted. And they can even trap heat in the atmosphere, which affects our weather patterns.
Can you tell me why does sky look clearer after rain?
It's because the rain acts like a giant scrubber for the air. All those dust particles, pollen, and pollutants that usually float around and haze up the view get washed down to the ground. With the air
Okay.
cleaned out, the sunlight can pass through more clearly, which is why the blue looks so vivid and the air feels so crisp.
So, can you tell me what is the ozone layer and where is it?
The ozone layer is a region of Earth's stratosphere that contains a high concentration of ozone molecules. It's basically like a giant invisible sunscreen for the planet, located about 10 to 50 kilometers above us. Its main job is to absorb most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation, which protects us from things like skin cancer and cataracts.
So, can you
Without
tell
it,
me
like
why is the sky important for life on Earth?
it's everything for us. First, it gives us the air we need to breathe. And as we mentioned, that ozone layer acts as a shield against the sun's dangerous rays. It also regulates our temperature so we don't freeze or fry, and it carries the water cycles that bring rain or crops, drinking water. Basically, without the sky, Earth would just be a lifeless rock in space.
Okay, so my next question from you is why is the sky, how do airplanes fly in the sky?
It's all about a balance of four forces. Wings are shaped in a specific way so that air moves faster over the top than the bottom, which creates a difference in pressure that literally lifts the plane upward. This is called lift. And you have thrust from the engines to push it forward, gravity pulling it down, and drag, which is the air resisting the movement. As
At
long as
what
the
height
lift
do
is
planes usually fly?
most commercial jets usually cruise between 30 and 40,000 feet. That's roughly 9 to 12 kilometers up. They fly that high because the air is thinner, which means less drag and better fuel efficiency. Plus, it lets them fly above most of the weather and turbulence, making the ride a lot smoother for everyone on board.
Okay, so can you tell me what is air pressure in the sky?
Air pressure is basically the weight of all the air above you pushing down. Imagine the atmosphere as a giant stack of blankets. The bottom, where we are on the ground, there are a lot of blankets on top of us, so the pressure is high. But as you go higher into the sky, there are fewer blankets above you, so the pressure drops. That's why your ears pop when you fly in a plane or drive up a mountain. Your body is adjusting to that change in pressure.
Okay, so can you tell me how does altitude affect breathing?
As you go higher, the air pressure drops, which means the oxygen molecules are more spread out. Even though the percentage of oxygen stays the same, there's just less of it in every breath you take. That's why people often feel short of breath or get altitude sickness when they're high up in the mountains. Their bodies are struggling to get the same amount of oxygen they usually do.
Okay, so can you tell me what happens as you go beyond the sky into the space?
When you cross that Kármán line we mentioned, you're officially in space. Everything changes. The air disappears completely. So there's no more wind, no more clouds, no more blue sky. It's just a deep, endless black, even when the sun is shining, because there's no atmosphere to scatter the light. Plus, you'd feel weightless because you're orbiting the Earth rather than being pulled straight down. It's a total shift from everything we experience here on the ground.
So Maya, can you tell me why is sky colder at higher altitudes?
It's a bit counterintuitive because you're closer to the sun, right? But it's actually because air pressure drops as you go up. When air rises and expands, it loses heat, which makes the temperature plummet. That's why you'll see snow on the peaks of the tallest mountains, even if it's a warm day down in the valley.
Is space part of the sky?
Technically, no. Sky is the atmosphere that wraps around Earth, whereas space is the vacuum that begins where the atmosphere ends. It's like the difference between the water in a swimming pool and the air outside of it.
So can you tell me why do stars appear in the night?
I think you mean, why do stars appear at night? They show
Yeah.
up because the sun's bright light isn't blinding us anymore. During the day, the atmosphere scatters that sunlight so much that it washes out the light from distant stars. Once it's dark, the curtain pulls back and you can finally see them.
Why do stars twinkle in the sky?
That's actually an optical illusion caused by our own atmosphere. As the light from a star travels through the air, it passes through different layers of temperature and density, which bend the light back and forth.
Okay,
To our
Maya.
eyes, it looks like the star is shifting. I'm glad you liked
So
that
Maya,
explanation.
I'm going to do a rapid fire round, and you have to give me quickly answers of the question that I have asked you. Okay?
I'm ready. Bring it
Okay.
on.
Why do we see? What is the Milky Way?
The Milky Way is our home galaxy. It's a massive, swirling collection of billions of stars, gas, and dust that looks like a cloudy band of light across the night sky.
Okay. What are satellites?
Satellites are objects that orbit a larger body in space. They can be natural, like the moon, or man made, like the ones we use for GPS and weather forecasting.
Why do they stay up?
It's a perfect balance of speed and gravity. They're moving forward so fast that as they fall toward Earth, they actually curve around it, staying in a constant state of free fall.
So, can you tell me how do they stay up?
It's all about centrifugal force. They're moving sideways at just the right speed so that the curve of their path matches the curve of the Earth, which keeps them from crashing down.
Okay. What are shooting stars?
They aren't actually stars at all. They're just tiny pieces of space rock or dust that hit our atmosphere and burn up, creating that bright streak of light.
Okay. What causes auroras?
Auroras happen when charged particles from the sun hit Earth's magnetic field. They get funneled toward the poles where they collide with gases in the atmosphere and create those stunning curtains of dancing light.
Where are auroras seen?
They're primarily seen near the North and South Poles. Think places like Norway, Canada, Alaska, or Antarctica.
What is the role of the sun in the sky?
The sun is the star at the center of our solar system and the ultimate source of energy for Earth. It provides
What
the
are
light and heat that
winds?
make. Winds are just air in motion. They happen when air moves from a high pressure area to a low pressure area to balance things out.
Okay, I'm going to ask some last questions from you. How tech changed sky study?
It's a big shift from the sky. Technology has totally changed how we study. We've gone from digging through library stacks for hours to having the world's knowledge in our pockets. We've got interactive tools, online courses, and AI to help us think through complex ideas in real time. It's made learning much more accessible and personalized, though it definitely makes it easier to get distracted by a cat video every 5 minutes.
Okay, so my last question from you is, what does sky mean to you?
To me, the sky is the ultimate blank canvas. It's a reminder that there's always something bigger and more mysterious than whatever we're dealing with on the ground. Whether it's a bright blue morning or a starry night, it's the one thing that connects every single person on Earth. It's just endless possibility, really.
Okay, viewers, so this was my AI session with Maya. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Alina Abdul. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad.